Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hope you're well. Look at my hair. Good God. Hope you're well. Hope you can see a decent picture this week. Um, hope there's no issues with the sound or anything, because we had a whole host of problems last week. You know, faux pas, and it just all went. I'm 3 minutes late. Forgive me. Let me wipe my glasses a minute. It's warm in here. I'm gonna have to open a window in a second. This is no good. This is warm in here. God, must be pushing 80 degrees in here. Good morning, number 3. Hope you're well. Hope you're having a good start to your Saturday. If there's any issues with sound or picture, please let me know. I don't want either. Not after last Saturday, anyway. Excuse me just a split second. I'll go and open a window. It's hot in here. I'll tell you what, folks. Good morning, Ralph. Hope you're well. Hope you're well. God, I tell you what, it's like a damn sauna bath in here. Gosh. Gosh, look at my hair. My hair's sticking out. Look, it's like I've been dragged through a bloody hedge backwards. Yeah, turning into an old maid. Yeah, I hope you... those of you that watched last night's video, I hope you found it interesting. I have a apology to make. I said I would put the links to the videos that I was referring to in the description below, and I forgot. I've done it now, so they're there now. But good morning, Justin. Nice to see you. I'll hit the bench in a minute and we'll actually do something. Um, you have very nice hair. No, very nice hair. It's like old straw. Need to wash, actually. I've been dragging in and out of town this week. Um, traffic pollution and all that. Baldy man. Well, there's no shame in that. No shame in that. Yeah, so going back to last night's video, the links in the description below are now in there, so you can go and watch those videos if you want, make your own sort of judgment. But my opinion was with the Little Things Junkie, he didn't mention about the Tamiya figures that to get the missing details, you use the decal sheet. So I thought yeah, it's a little bit unfair. You're sort of doing an injustice really to Maya on that one, and it sort of fired me up. It stirred me up, you know. And I thought, if you're going to ask people which you think is better, Maya or ICM, you've got to give them all the evidence, haven't you? Really, you've got to give them all the evidence. So we thought we would sort of do this properly, if you like. Proper comparison, and the only way I think you can really do a proper comparison is to make one of each figure. That's how you can do it. So that's what I thought we would do. We'll make one ICM figure and one Tamiya figure, and we'll add the decals to the Tamiya figure for the detailing. Then you can compare the two. I think that's the fair way to do it. So what I was going to use for the Tamiya figure that guy there. I thought that's a nice figure, but that's got virtually all molded detail, and I wanted figure with the decals. That's what I wanted. Let me put it up a bit. I'm peeping a bit. So in the end I chose not to use that figure. But even on this box, which doesn't come with any decal sheet or any kind, of very nice box of miniatures, actually, I have to say. I love the dog. Love the dog, Blondie. Beautiful, if you ever get this box, beautiful detailing on the dog. It's just, the only thing I can see you're going to have to do with that is that guy there, the dog handler, you're going to have to drill out his hand there to accept the leash. That's the thing you're going to have to do. But other than that, but anyway, that figure is molded detail, so we won't use him. But it does say on this box, on the side, use the 135 scale World War II German military insignia decal set. Afrika Korps Waffen SS 12641 for even more detailed finish. So even this box is telling you to use decals. But we won't use that box, as nice as it is. As I said last night, we'll do that figure and we'll give him a peaked cap. So he should turn out, very similar to that guy. Should turn out, all being well. And we'll do that guy with the attaché case. Then I think you can make a fair judgment on which is better, ICM or Tamiya. Yeah, it fired me up when I watched that video. But the guy in question, the Little Things Junkie, very nice painter indeed. You look at the German officer figure that he's painted, yeah, very nice indeed. He's certainly no mug with a paintbrush. So, happy to give him a shout out. Indeed. Right, put this tank officer away. Right, let's get me... God, I tell you what, it's hot in here. It's blisteringly hot. Even with the windows open. I hate it when it's this hot. I absolutely hate it. Right. Put this down here. Right, let's get you so you can see the bench a bit. Right, we'll get back onto these medics. Right, how many have we got to do with the brown then? Let's have a look. That guy's done. It's been a day or two since I've sort of done anything. Major Carlisle was doing. I've been rushing in and out, here, there, and everywhere, going back and forth into town, trying to get a prescription filled. So I finally managed to do it, which is great. Right, military green. We want military green on this jacket. Okay. Yeah, I mean... 3 or 4 trips to town just to get one prescription filled. I mean, can you believe it? I'm on, as you can probably well imagine, I'm on hormone patches. And I was on my last patches, and I'm telling them, look, I've run out of these things. I've run out of them. And everybody seems to sort of pass the buck on these issues. And it's like, what do you want me to do? Turn back into a bloody frog? I mean, come on. It was never like this years ago, You had a prescription, you went to the chemist, you handed it to the person behind the counter, and that person would say, do you want to wait? It'd be about half an hour. Do you want to wait? The chair's over there, you can wait, or go away and come back in half an hour. And you wait or go away and get some groceries and come back and they'd give it you. Now it's like when you ring up on the doctors, it's like to make the prescription request. It's like, give us 72 hours. Well, that's 3 days. So you wait 3 days and you go to the chemist and you're not guaranteed of getting it then. I mean, I don't understand why it's got to this state. Right, brush size, brush. We'll use a O-size brush today. What I will do when I've finished this live cast, give me something for reference here. Give me something for reference. What I will do when I finish this live cast is I'll go away and make a video for the light box. We'll have a look at the light box. Give me some tissue paper here a minute. Hopefully that'll work out okay, the light box, which will be ideal for our comparison video. So we'll get that done, and I'll also put these two figures together, the ICM and the Tamiya. We'll put them together, and hopefully today we'll get the primer on them. So we'll get that done. Looking forward very much to tomorrow, the Women's World Cup final. Hopefully we won't fall at the last hurdle. I sincerely hope not. These ladies are certainly good enough to win it. Hopefully they won't choke on the big occasion. Right, let's about the decals. But they do like the one of the Verlinden ones. Verlinden ones. I've had nothing to do with Verlinden. I don't think I've had anything to do with Verlinden miniatures. I know they're Verlinden. They do a lot of resin stuff, don't they? Verlinden miniatures. I don't think I've got any Verlinden stuff here. But yeah, like I was saying on the video last night, it's just two different routes manufacturers have gone down to achieve defined details. Do you mold it into the figure, which takes a considerable amount of work, I'm sure, to get that level of detail, or do you do a basic figure, a good figure, and then provide a decal sheet for the finer details, which certainly makes the sculptor's life easy. Company's long gone. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Yeah, I've had not a lot to do with Verlinden, so I don't really know. So yeah, so it's two different roads to go down to get to the same result. I've got to say, the ICM figures, 135 World War II figures in plastic, to me, they are as good as resin figures. They're that detailed. If you're going to pick the differences between resin and these ICM figures, you'll be splitting a very, very, very thin hair. I mean, they are that good. Phenomenal. When I really stopped and looked at them properly, I was blown away by the level of detail. Absolutely blown away. It was that good. But don't get me wrong, Tamiya are very good figures. Very good figures. It'll be an interesting comparison to compare the two. I mean, there's loads of good manufacturers out there now. As far as toy soldiers and wargaming and all that goes, we live in a very fortunate time because we are spoilt rotten. We are absolutely spoilt rotten. There isn't much really, when you look around, there isn't much really you can't get figure-wise now. I mean, I was watching a bit the other evening of that wargaming program with Edward Woodward. Now, what do they call that? Battleground or something they call it. And you look at the figures on there. You look at the figures on there on Battleground that they're using compared to what we have now. They're not very good at all. They're not very good at all. But that's what you got back in the day. That's sort of what you got. But now it's amazing what you can get now. And I agree with you about dragon figures are also very good. You look at some of the dragon figures, which we've done here. We've done some dragon figures. And also, you know, Master Box and Bronco and people like that. We really are spoiled for choice. We're very, very lucky. Very lucky. Most of these now are Master Box figures, and they're very good. Very, very good. That one's a Major Carlisle. He's a resin figure. He's Resicast. That's a Belgian figure. The Airfix, what? In the early 70s? Cruelty? Why were Airfix cruel in the 70s? That's always was my idea behind the thing. As I've said to you numerous times, the bulk of my World War II stuff is Airfix, 132 Airfix for the bulk of it, and adding these kit figures just to give more variety and more bit of different stuff, because Airfix figures, as good as they are for what they are, they're all samey. You get like 6 or 7 poses and that's your lot. So to add some variety and some different things, we use the kit figures. And they're nice. Yeah, we're very, very fortunate, very lucky. Very lucky indeed. There's a seam on this jacket right on the back. So we won't go over the seam because that's a different piece of material. Yes, look forward to tomorrow and the World Cup final. It's a shame the guys can't play as well as the ladies. Maybe one day. Come back, Alf Ramsey, all is forgiven. How am I doing these? How am I doing these? A bit green on the collar here. Yes. Yeah. Good as he was, Ralph Ramsey, you know, everybody has their day. And times change. Never liked Don Revie as a manager, or not as an England manager. A cup of tea here, excuse me. He didn't seem to know what his best team was. He kept always changing things around. So I was glad when he went. But the person that came behind wasn't much better. Oh, what's his name? Ron Greenwood. He wasn't much better. don't tend to follow football too much these days because there's too much money in it for me. You know, I watch a lot of football on YouTube, but it's all football from the 70s. You know what I mean? You know, Bobby Charlton and Dennis Law and all them people I like watching. Matches of yesteryear, which is nice. I like all that. Damn fiber or something on the end of my brush. I hate that. Yeah, I like all the old players. Does it make you think, though, when you consider the old type of heavy leather football that they used to use in the like 50s and 60s? Can you imagine what that weighed when it got wet? Must have been a considerable sort of weight when it got wet. Now you imagine heading that. Is it any wonder some of these poor devils got dementia now? But, you know, nobody seemed to give it a thought back then that could be doing you a lot of harm. Heading a football continuously. I believe even Bobby Charlton now has got dementia. Very sad. Yeah. Nice to be back on the bench, actually. I've been away from it too long. Chasing prescriptions and shopping for groceries and so on and so forth. It all takes you away from the bench, which is not where I want to be, really. High time I got these medics and civilians painted. Got the elf seagulls are noisy this morning. Right, now a lot of this jacket you're not going to be able to see because he's got his arm in a sling. So makes our life a little bit difficult as a painter. But like I say to people, it's nothing you can't work around. Whatever the problem is in miniature painting or model making, you can always get a way around it. You can always think of a way around it. Or at least I can. Right, so how did I do that? I did half of that. Right. I gotta be careful here that I don't get green on his hand. That would be a tragedy. A green finger. Yeah. Well, the sound and picture must be okay today because I've had no complaints. So that's okay. Right, let's have a look. How have we done that? Have we got brown up there? Oh, okay. Right, I think we ought to have... right, well, put a bit of green there, I think. Just to highlight that flank. Tell you what I watched last night. I was rather disappointed. I watched The Longest Day. That movie, The Longest Day, about the D-Day invasion. I wasn't disappointed with the movie. I was disappointed with the colour version, which is what I watched last night. To my mind, not very good at all. Apparently, I read it was done in 1994, the colorization. No, I didn't like it at all. Didn't like it much at all. Very gaudy, sort of garish sort of colours, if you like. Too colorized, if you like. Too bright. It's just... no, I didn't like it. Didn't like it at all. I wish they would do it again with modern technology. Take it and do it properly. Because it was almost like... I suppose we're looking at technology of the time as to how it was done. I mean, technology since 1994, well, it's nearly 30 years ago, isn't it? So technology's moved on incredibly for doing these things. But it looked very amateurishly done, if I might put it that way. It didn't look very good at all. I wasn't very impressed by it at all. It's a shame because in colour it could be a really good film. It's a really good film anyway, but it could be an even better film in colour, I think. But they deliberately made it in black and white so they could add in bits of real footage from the war. That was the reasoning behind it, apparently. But I would like to see it in colour, properly in colour, not the way they've done it. And it also it sort of mucked up the picture quality as well, and the aspect ratio and all this stuff. It's just sort of all went to hell, like, it's not very good at all. Personally, if anybody was saying to me they were thinking of buying this film in colour, getting the colour version, I would say personally, don't bother. It's not worth the effort. It's not worth the effort. But, full marks to them for trying to do it. It just doesn't work for me. Doesn't work. But it is a good film. One of the best films going on the D-Day invasion. And you see the guy going up the hill on the mule with the coffee canisters, the German guy. Yeah, good, good. God, I wish those seagulls would shut up. I don't know what's winding them up so much. Right, so you put a block down there green, I think. I'm sort of making this pattern up as I go along, this Denison smock pattern. Right, so let's have a look. What have we got there? Oh, that's the bandage there, isn't it? So, right, we'll call that it for that arm then. Because the rest of it's hidden in. Let me put a little bit of green there, perhaps. Most of his arm is hidden by this bandage. Or a sling. He's got his arm in a sling. I'll put a bit of green there. Right. That's not too bad. Right, do the other arm a minute. Right, so we want the seam of the jacket, we want it about there, don't we? Oh, this guy's got stripes on him. I just noticed he's got some stripes on his arm. Makes him... How many stripes has he got there? 1, 2, 3... Makes him a sergeant. Oh, okay. That's nice. So we'll be mindful when we do the highlights on this figure to add in 3 stripes for this guy. A Sergeant Glider Pilot. Horsa Glider Pilot. Yeah. Nice figures by Master Box. But you know, I have a big Master Box fan. I wonder why it is, because there's various companies that come out of Ukraine. I wonder why it is that yes, look at the new colorized versions of World War II newsreels. Yes, it's much better now. Pirate Rich, good morning, Pirate Rich, if you're still with us. As I told you last week, you did tell me last week that it was not a very good colorized version. You did tell me, that was right. And I still went ahead and bought it because I just had to see for myself. And you are totally right. I totally agree with you. It's not a good thing. To my mind, sort of almost like bastardized, if I can use that word in here. It's not good. It's not good. So I should have bowed to your greater judgment. So I'm sorry. Karen thought she knew better, and she obviously didn't. Let's get some water in this palette here a minute. It started from drying out. Yeah, I thought I knew better and I didn't. I'm sorry. Yes, the newsreels that they colour in now, and the stuff they colour in now, it's very, very good. Very good indeed. It was almost like looking at that film, you know, it was almost like they had, for some reason, they had a limited choice of colours they could use. Whereas you look at very, very, very early colour film, the very started getting colour film, you know, it mostly always seemed to consist of red and green. It was almost reminded me a bit like that. All right, they had blue, but you look at the blue in the sea. Oh, yeah, it's far too blue, far too blue. It was like I haven't got anything that blue here. I can't think of anything I got that blue here. Yeah, very, very garish bright blue. Same with the sky. And the trees all seem to be just one shade of garish sort of green. But that was back in 1994. It would look a lot better now, I'm sure, if they were to do it. I wish they would. I wish they would do it. I'd love to. I'd love to see it. Because there's a whole host of very well-known people in it. Everybody from John Wayne to Robert Mitchum to Richard Burton. I couldn't think then. Yeah, very good, very good. It is very, very enjoyable movie. But I bow to your greater judgment, Angkor You were right. Right, that's this guy pretty much. Done. Well, the green anyway. Sounds like the postman. Sounds like the postman. Yeah, that'll do for now, for the green on this guy. I don't know if you can see that or not. Next step for him is a bit of brown. Right, so that's that done. Have we got any more green that wants doing? No, so that's the green. So it's, a bit of green on this guy's arms. I made a bog of this guy's arms. So I just went back over them with the khaki grey again. Just blocked it all out. I'll do it properly now. If you make a mistake on something, don't be afraid to start again and just do it again. It's no problem. It's no shame to make a mistake. It's no shame at all to make a mistake. I ought to know I make enough of them. that's life, isn't it? That's what life's about. Um, we all make mistakes. Life is a learning curve. That's what it's about. That's why you're here to learn. That's why actually, that's why you have a physical body, so you can experience all the things around you. It's a convenient vessel for your spirit, so you can experience all the things around you, and so you can learn. Unfortunately, some people never learn. Or some people only learn the hard way. But we're all different. We're all different. As they say, it wouldn't do for us all to be the same. For sure, for sure. This paint is drying really quick today on these figures. Must be nigh on 80 degrees in here, even with the windows open. Oh good, I got toothache. Saturday morning and I have toothache. Thankfully at the moment it's restricted to one tooth. I need to see a neurologist. Do you know, I'll tell you something now. Right, let me do this bit on the sleeve a second and I'll tell you something about neurology. Do you have it? That's not bad. Oh, I'll put a bit on the inside of his Denison smock. Should be a bit there, really. Difficult because you can't really see the inside of the sleeve. Some of these arms on these figures are quite close together. Which is okay for the figure, but not okay for me when I come to paint the damn thing. Right, we'll drag that bit down a bit, I think. Let's get him down a bit further, that green. Yeah. Talking about neurology. Yeah, that's not too bad. We'll settle for that on that arm. There is only one neurologist for the entire county of Cornwall. Can you believe that? One neurologist for the entire county. A friend of mine was telling me she suffers with multiple sclerosis, which is a neurological condition. And she was saying there is one neurologist for the entire county of Cornwall. Well, whoever this person is, excuse me, I need to go see them. Mind you, these days, trying to get to see somebody, be that neurologist or anybody else for that matter, it's like trying to get a fucking audience at the Vatican. I mean, it's just dreadful, dreadful. Mentioning the Vatican, how old is Pope Francis now? He must be knocking on a bit, mustn't he? Pope Francis, he must be well in his 80s, I would thought. Pope Francis. Yeah. I shouldn't wonder before very long we'll have a papal election before long. Be interesting to see who they put in place. It can't go on forever then, people. They are mere mortals like the rest of us. Right, just got this arm to do, and then that's the green finished. Then we'll get on and we'll do some brown. I think it's flat brown, isn't it? Let's have a look in the folder a minute. I think it's flat brown we use for these. F. Yes, flat brown. Yeah, flat brown. So we'll get on and do some flat brown in a minute. Leather brown. Where's me flat brown? Must be there. Yeah, flat brown. We'll get on and do some of that in a minute. Excuse me a second. How's my battery going? Oh, it doesn't tell me. Oh yeah, 65%. 65%, but we're okay. How long have we been going on this? 47 minutes. Okay. Might have to plug into the mains in a minute. Electric chair. Yeah, nice day here today. I'm amazed at the contrast with last night when it was absolutely blowing a gale, absolutely pouring with rain. Yeah, the contrast is quite remarkable. Nice to see. I put my date palms that I'm growing, I put one of them out in the kitchen, in the window in the sun. Try and get it as much sun as possible. Very pleased with them, the way they've come on. They germinate really well, actually. The stones you get from the supermarket, from the packs of dates. They're very good. I didn't have no luck with bananas, so I tried growing some banana seeds. I didn't have no luck with them at all, which was a pity. Might have another go at some point. I'll put a little bit of green there, I think. Just to Make the pattern a bit more interesting. Oh, I noticed this guy's got stripes on his arms as well. Another sergeant. Right, can we get any green on the inside of his jacket? Oh, sugar. Right, yeah, we'll put a bit up there. Starting to lose my voice again. She's a bit of a nuisance. Any comments? Sorry, I missed the comments there. Every day a school day. Now every day is like Sunday. Well, I don't like Sunday very much. I don't. Bananas. I didn't know bananas had a virus. I had no idea. Excuse me a second. Excuse me a second. Let's try and get this a bit. Bananas, actually, interesting thing about bananas, they're genetically modified so they don't produce seeds. Bananas naturally produce seeds. If you cut a banana open, it should have seeds inside it. But they're genetically modified to stop them producing the seeds. So like I say, you can buy banana seeds online, which is what I did, and they didn't want to grow for some reason. Where I went wrong, I don't know. I have no idea. But the dates grew easily. Well, I say easily, relatively easily. Right, let's have some flat brown on these figures now. We'll get some flat brown on them. Get these Denison smocks finished off. Well, not finished off, but all the block colours finished on these Denison smocks. That's what we need to do. Then I can get on and do some webbing with some 881 green yellow for the webbing. So let's just get these Denison smocks finished. I'll be having dreams about Denison smocks before long, the amount I've painted. But, fiddly as these things are, they do look nice when they're done. I do like to see them when they're done. Right, this guy's got a sling on his arm, so actually makes life for us a bit easier, because it means We don't have so much to paint in because it's covered by the sling, which is handy. I'm all for that. Here we go. A bit of brown. Right, a bit of brown across there, I think. What's that, 11:30? Yeah, 11:30. It's amazing when you do these broadcasts, it's amazing how quickly time goes. Time goes really quickly. But I never come on here and think, what am I going to talk about? I never think that. I just come on here and sort of away I go. You know? It's just, I don't know, it must be a natural or something. Naturally talkative. As I've told you people before, I find this making the videos and stuff as enjoyable sugar as painting the miniatures. I like making the videos. It's fun. I like being in front of the camera for whatever reason. I don't know why. It's just something I do like doing. Maybe I should have been in the theater or something when I was younger. Should have been on the stage, perhaps. Wells Fargo. Well, I've done a little bit in the theater. As some of you know, I was in Hornblower for about 15 seconds. My claim to fame. I was in Hornblower. Which was very enjoyable to do, like I say. Hard work, but very enjoyable to do. Hard work just for 15 seconds of fame. But I got paid for it. Met some nice people and had a thoroughly good time. And you quickly learned how impractical the uniform was, and I often wonder how these people dealt with a situation like being caught short. Because the trousers, they had fly buttons, but covering the fly buttons was a flap up the front which was buttoned. So you have a lot of webbing and stuff that sort of gets in the way. So then you undo the flap on the front of the trousers to get at the fly buttons. Then you undo the fly buttons, but you still can't get at anything because you have braces on keeping the trousers up. So you have to sort of undo the braces to lower the trousers to get at anything. It's just awful, awful. Can you imagine if you're caught short when you're marching somewhere and you get caught short? Hopeless, hopeless. Those uniforms weren't designed for practicality. Obviously designed by a committee, which is what they say about what they say about the camel. They always say the camel is a horse designed by a committee. It's about right. But yeah, I enjoyed it working on Hornblower. It was fun. If ever you're out there and you get the chance to be a film extra in something, yeah, go for it. Do it. Do it. It's great fun. It's great fun. Right, so where's this? So we gotta go down here then, haven't we? We're trying to keep trying to make the pattern on these smocks look like they got seam lines where the materials join from one piece to another. That's how you make it look reasonably authentic, the Denison smock. Sorry, what was that comment? But I didn't know that about bananas. Banana factoids. Iceland is Europe's biggest producer of bananas. Didn't know that banana plants can move, thankfully very slowly. Iceland do produce bananas, but only in greenhouses. Indonesia, Africa and South America. Yeah, well, I'll tell you one thing, you won't be getting any bananas from here, that's for sure, because mine didn't grow at all. I might have another go at some point, see if I can grow them. But I know how to grow date palms, that's for sure. They're very easy to quite easy to germinate, date palm seeds. You soak them in warm water for about 3 days, the seeds. You got to get all the pulp off them, or you eat all the pulp off them, wash them to get them clean. Then you soak them in, I soaked them in filtered water for like 3 days. Change the water each day. Try and keep the water warm if you can. So I put them on the windowsill in the sun. Change the water every day. Then after 3 days you take them and you wrap them in some damp tissue paper, put them in a plastic bag, and just leave them somewhere, or put them in the fridge or something. You can put them in the fridge even. And then keep checking them, and eventually they will germinate. You'll see the white, whatever they call it, that comes out. You'll see that. And you take the best ones and pot them up, and eventually they'll pop up. It's not too difficult, not too difficult. Medjool dates, that's what they were. I don't know which country they came from, where they were produced, these dates. But they germinated quite happily anyway, so that's sort of nice. Just that I couldn't get on with the bananas for some reason, which was a pity. But I might have another go at some point, see if I can get some bananas to germinate. I think what it is, they can take quite a few months to germinate, bananas. Whereas the medjool dates, they can be done in days, a few days. In fact, you can have from soaking them in the water for 3 days to putting them in the plastic bag, you can probably get a result within a week and a bit, something like that. Whereas you wouldn't expect to get that with bananas. Not that I'm an expert on this thing. Well, obviously not, otherwise I wouldn't have failed germinating the things. But it would be nice to have some banana plants here, and just to say, yeah, I grew them. Yeah, gonna look good, these figures. Gonna look good. Yeah. Busy day today, actually. Thinking about it, got these broadcasts to do. Make the video for the light box. I'll put these two figures together for that comparison. because that's really fired my sort of imagination now to get that done. So we'll have a go at that. Got some audio cassettes to put onto CD for somebody. So we'll have a go at that. Always lots to do here. Always lots to do. Starting to get cramp in my hands and arms now. This is a wretched nuisance. Can feel I can feel my voice starting to go a bit as well now. I'm getting a bit tired now. That's what the problem is. But we'll keep going for a bit longer. At least we've had no issues with the picture today. I don't know what happened to last week's broadcast that we did do. It's gone off into the bloody ether somewhere. I don't know where it's gone. It's not on my phone, that's for sure. But you know, such is life. What is the expression they use? Shit happens. What you tend to find with these Dennis and Smocks is, looking at the illustrations, the brown tends to overlap the green. It's almost like khaki grey is done first, then the green splotches are put on, then the brown splotches tend to overlay the edges of the green. Seems to be the layering the way it's done. So I always try and do that. Khaki grey first, then green, and then the final blotches of brown just overlap the green a bit. And also try not to have too much khaki grey showing, if I can get away with it. Right, so how are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? Okay, we'll go down there, I think. Go a bit down this way, and a bit down this way. Yeah, nice weather out today. Might encourage a few butterflies to come out, which would be nice. I haven't been butterfly spotting for a few days because we've just not had the weather. So I look forward to hopefully getting out and seeing what's around. Here's an interesting question for you. I've got to write a load of questions for a quiz because it's coming up. WI are holding a quiz in October, so I've got to work out all the questions for that. So here's a question for you. A guy in a tweed suit falls off the top of Big Ben. How long does it take before he hits the ground? How would you work that out? It's actually a bit of a little bit of general knowledge, and a little bit of schoolboy physics as well. All objects all objects, irrespective of shape, size, mass, weight, fall at the same rate. So you could have a pea and a cannonball, drop them from a building, and they would both hit the ground at the same time. That's just the way gravity works. There is a way of working out the speed at which the objects fall as well. I can't remember what that is, but anyway, it doesn't matter. What you need to know is the height from where the object fell. That's what you need to know. Once you know the height from which the object falls, in this case the man in the tweed suit, you can work it out. So, bit of general knowledge, common general knowledge is the height of Big Ben, which is, anybody? 316 feet. That's the height of Big Ben. So what you do is you take 316, or the height of whatever the height is from where your object fell, and you divide it by 16. So in our case it's 316 divided by 16 is 19.75. So then when you've got your answer, you have to find the square root of that answer. So in our case, the square root of 19.75 is 4.4444 seconds. That's how long it takes the man in the tweed suit to fall from the top of Big Ben before impact is roughly 4.5 seconds. That's how you work it out. So the chances of surviving that fall are absolutely nil. But that's a bit of physics you should have learned at school, how to calculate how long it takes an object to fall from a sort of given distance. It's basic physics. You can obviously say 4.5 seconds to travel 316 feet. He's going at a considerable gallop. The guy going at a fair gallop. But there's absolutely no way you would survive that. I can't see how you could survive that fall, particularly off Big Ben, because all around Big Ben I think it's pavement, isn't it? It's not grass or soil or anything. I think it's all paved. Not that I've been to Big Ben, because I haven't, but I think it's all hard surface, isn't it? So surviving a fall like that is highly unlikely. And it does also proffer another question. Why is the guy in the tweed suit on the top of Big Ben in the first place? We may never know. We may never know. But I thought, that's a good question to ask them. That'll fox them a bit, won't it? That'll fox them a bit. Because you've got to have some if you're writing questions for a quiz, you've got to have some tricky ones in there to sort the men out from the boys. I mean, you can't have all questions like that, because that's ridiculous. You're going to have some easy ones, some reasonable questions, and some tricky ones. A good sort of mix. So I think I want about 50 questions. I think I'm what I'm aiming for, in categories of 5. So there'll be like 10 categories of 5s. Bananas are like the triffids. Bananas. Shalom. This was a good lesson. Yeah. You can now calculate how long it takes any object to fall over a given distance. Yeah, that's all you need to know. That's all you need to know is the height from which the object falls. Once you've got the height from which the object falls, it's no problem. It's no problem to work out how long it takes the object to fall. You have to have the height. That's the key to it. In this case, it was 316 feet of Big Ben. Here's another question. We're talking about Big Ben. Here's another question. How do they regulate the speed of Big Ben? If it's running a little bit fast or a little bit slow, how do they regulate the speed of it to try and keep the thing accurate? Anybody know? It's been done the same method almost since time almost since time immemorial. They've used the same method. Actually, what they do is they have a stack of old pennies. The neighbour is about, if you go and sort your neighbour out. Yeah, they have it on the thing. There's a stack of old pennies, and they add and remove pennies. They use them as like counterweight. They add and remove pennies as necessary to regulate the time. Which is, I guess, it's whatever method works, isn't it? Yeah, so that's going to be fun, writing the questions for this quiz. Right, can we get a bit of brown there? Yes. Wash my brush out a minute. Keep washing your brush out because it does get a bit overloaded with paint. So let's put a bit of brown here. Try and get it under the sling here. This is quite awkward with the sling here. Not the easiest figure in the world to paint this. Think I'm gonna get a rifle and shoot some of them seagulls? Ah, ah, ah. I don't know who or why put a protection order on these things for sure. Right, I could do that shoulder tab brown, Karen. Oh God, midday. Midday. Well, we'll give it 10 minutes and see how we get along. As usual, we've rambled about a load of old gibberish. As usual. Such, such is life. They place the pennies on the weights. Yeah. Don't shoot the gulls. No, I wasn't only joking. Yes, they put the pennies on the weights. That's how they regulate Big Ben. Not very scientific, but it doesn't need to be. It works. It works. Here we go. A little bit of brown there. Right, just a bit of brown on this arm. How long have we been going on this? An hour and 27 minutes. How long has the battery got left? 41%. Oh, that's not too bad. We'll give it 10 minutes. We will adjourn for some lunch. I'm getting quite hungry here, actually. I don't know what we got in the cupboard. We'll have to go and have a look. We'll have to go and have a look. Ah! Ah! Somebody out walking their dog. It was a nice day for that, for sure. Walking your dog. Yeah, I don't know why I got sidetracked earlier. I was mentioning Ukraine. Why it is that the Ukrainians seem to be so very good at making miniatures. It's just quite a few companies in Ukraine that make these miniatures that we all paint. and they're all very very good. Why the Ukrainians should be particularly good at making plastic miniatures. Don't get me wrong, I'm glad they do. Glad they do. Yeah, the old toy soldier hobby has come a long way. Right, so you want a bit of brown there, don't you? Okay, so we'll go around this part of the sleeve. Go around this part of the sleeve. I didn't know till I was watching Pirate Bridge last night. When you do these live casts, you can incorporate a survey in them, which he did last night. He didn't know, and he did one last night. He did the first one last night. His question was, do you think do you think 50% of your income, and what was it, about spending 50% of your income on miniatures? Do you think that's fair or right? And the consensus of opinion was, no, it's not right. You know, if you've got a modest income, you probably couldn't afford to spend 50% of your income on miniatures anyway, because of the cost of living, and electricity, and sort of rent, and so on and so forth. And if you've got a very, very good income, spending half of your income on miniatures, you would soon be swamped with miniatures that you just didn't have time to paint. So it's to me, it wasn't a feasible proposition to spend 50% of your income on miniatures. But it was a good question, and it was good to show that how the survey worked and all that. I didn't know that. I learned something. I don't know how you do a survey on this. I must look into it. Maybe I might have a go one Saturday. I don't know what question I would ask, I'm sure. Right, that's pretty good. Are we happy with that, Karen? I'll put a bit more brown here, I think. I think that's pretty good for that figure. That's not so bad. Could do with a bit down there, but you can't get it there because of the way his arm is. So I'm going to have to think about that. I'm going to have to think about that. How I get some paint down there. Yeah, I'm going to have to think about that. Think about that over lunch, I think. Right, do the arms on this. What's the time in all this? 135 minutes, hour and 35 minutes. Now what I'm actually going to do now is I'm getting retired now. I'm going to stop for lunch. I will thank very much whoever joined me. Nice to see you all. I hope you all have a nice Saturday. And enjoy whatever you're doing, whatever you're building, making, putting together. Probably what I might do after I've had lunch is give the painting a little break. And I'll put those two test figures together, ICM against Tamiya, and I'll get them built and primed. We'll do that. And then I think we'll have a look at this light box. We'll get this light box out and we'll see how that works. It's a folding light box. It's for easy storage, which is nice. And it's got controllable, you can control how bright the thing is. There's a control gadget in the cable, which looks good. So hopefully it'll make photographing these things a lot easier, because as you've probably seen on previous videos that I've done, I'm always moaning at the camera and trying to focus it down. It was like that a bit on the painting tutorial for the face painting tutorial. It's like trying to keep the bloody camera to focus and stuff. It's driving me mad. So hopefully we can cure that issue with the light box. Apparently it's got half a dozen different colored backgrounds which you can use, so we can find out which color is most suitable. Put the turntable in there and you can see these things properly. That's my thought on it anyway. So we'll have a look at that after lunch. Yeah, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing. Nice to not see you all, because I can't see you, but I know you're there. Hopefully see you on the next video. I'm struggling now. Right, so what was that comment? So well, I'm off today. Oh, go away. And hope you all have a nice weekend. All the best for you and yours, beloved. Cheers. Nice to see you. But some might think 50% is too little. Therefore, people might say no for two different reasons. Yeah, people say no for a whole variety of reasons. But it's an interesting question. Do you think 50% of your income is justified on sort of miniatures? And I think no, it's not valid. I mean, if you're on a really good wage, spending 50% of your income on miniatures, be that every week or over a year or each month or whatever, to me that's ridiculous, because you're going to end up with so many miniatures. Yeah, stash pile. As I know, I've got a huge stash pile, and I'll probably never get to the bottom of it. But you know, it was an interesting question, and it was interesting to show how Survey sort of worked on a live cast on YouTube, which he didn't know you could do, and I certainly didn't know you could do it. So it's interesting. It's all a learning curve. All this is all a learning curve. But anyway, thanks to everybody for watching. Thanks to everybody for subscribing. All your questions and everything. We'll see you on the next video. Have a nice Saturday.